Wouldn't start off right without technical difficulties.
Yeah. Randall, we can't hear you and you're sideways.
We can't hear you, buddy. You're on mute. Nope. I don't know what's going on. Well, welcome to Reckless Speculation. Wouldn't be the same show without Raj not here and technical difficulties.
You just go with the intro next week. It'll be simpler.
He's
every
back.
time I run the intro clip, it knocks me off. Welcome to Chattanooga's own national broadcast on a local basis. River City Media, brought to you by guys that are fans, for fans, local, national, regional. We are here tonight, as we always start, without our fourth member, Raj. He'll show up sooner or later, but we got, let me go ahead and introduce everybody. To my right, the Kyle Larson truther, the man who is going to either go with GME to the poorhouse or the penthouse, Robbie Davis.
Well, thank you for having me as always. And yeah, I mean, I don't like to brag that I have 50 shares of GME, which means I have unlimited wealth, but I do have 50 shares of GME, and yeah, it'll probably get me robbed tomorrow, but I'll be okay.
All right, everybody, stay with us. We got a bit of echo going on. I'm hearing it too. It'll probably work.
Good. You're good now on my end.
All right. Mm-hmm. I'm getting echo off of you, but for some reason tonight is going to be, you know what it is? It is raining. Every time it rains, it's like the internet goes crazy. To my far left or right, which depending on which way my camera is at this time, the man, the original Tennessee Titan, spike-haired rich boy. When you ask rich versus really rich, we go to Brandon for the answers. Mr. Brandon Chain.
Yeah. Thanks for having me too, as always. Yeah, just another rainy day in Tennessee. What do you expect? Don't like the weather, just wait. It'll change.
Well, I thought we would get on here tonight and have a lot of things to talk about. Final Four, USFL, NFL special coming up live on River City Media, April the 28th. We'll have more details about that here later. Tonight, we're going to talk a little about the Titans and the Falcons and what they need to get done in the draft. But I want to start with some breaking news out of Tampa, if everybody hasn't seen it. On our group text, our friend, dear friend of the show, Dave Hicks, just posted this from Peter King at Sports Illustrated. Bruce Arians, Robbie, I want to get you out. I'm going to move this in front of me. There you go.
Why you got to cut me out?
Bruce Arians retiring from coaching, moving to the Buccaneers front office, reports defensive coordinator, former head coach in the NFL, Todd Bowles, picked to replace him. Staff being told this hour. First reaction for Robbie, I'm sorry to say, my first reaction was not good for Todd Bowles, bad for Bruce Arians, but what does this do for Tom Brady unretiring?
Yeah, this seems like the smoke we've all seen. They won a Super Bowl together, but Bruce Arians and Tom Brady didn't see eye to eye. And then we hear Brady retiring almost because of Arians, or at least that's a reason. Then he comes back, and then there's this Miami talk. And now Arians retires. I'm sorry. Unless you're Bill Parcells, very few people retire with a Super Bowl roster. So this leads me to believe that all the smoke we have heard over the last year and a half is actually fire. And this is Tampa Bay ownership saying, hey, we've got one more year of this window. Let's go do the thing. We need Tom Brady happy, and he's not happy with Arians. And so put Bowles in there, who's the defensive coach. Essentially, what you're saying is you coach the defense. Tom Brady, you coach the offense.
Exactly was my thought. is Tom Brady now becomes, hey guys, I get very few things right in life, but I do love the River City Media split that we just put up. Let's go to Brandon Chain. You heard the question. Arians is out. Todd Bowles is in. My first thought was Tom Brady is the offensive coordinator in name now of the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys on that one. Like Robbie said, there's been some talk of that and kind of behind the scenes smoke. And yeah, I mean, Tom Brady coming back to keep him on your roster, keep him happy. Like you said, it's a very small window. And after the trade talks, you knew something was really going on there. And I think front office just said, hey, you gotta get out, or we're gonna lose this window. So Todd Bowles, I think it's a good fit. I like him. He's a good coach, former head coach, and I think he can steer clear of Brady and allow him to run his offense. So,
and they're still in the worst division in football.
Correct.
I don't know if it's the worst division. We got Marcus Mariota. I didn't feel like I ain't even faking it. Rob, one question I have for you, and it was the second thought I had, is, of course, today we'll get to later, NFL mandated that you must hire a minority or a female to work on your offensive staff on all 32 NFL teams. Todd Bowles, an African American. Could this possibly have anything to do with the hire?
Sorry, was that to me or to Raj?
To Raj.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa, check out the graphics. Damn, bro.
By the time you look up, and hold on, another thing. After a year together, get a new keyboard. I finally discovered what makes her clicking noise constantly every time you were barring our new meteor out. So, gotta have a new keyboard for Raj.
I type with purpose, but blame my company where my keyboard on my laptop died, and because of COVID, even though we are a Fortune 5 company and we're 200 billion, I can't get IT to replace my keyboard, so I had to buy my own crap hole keyboard. So maybe blame Logitech and my company, whose name shall remain nameless. To answer your question, no, I think it's exactly a great defensive mind, what Robbie said, and an offensive guy. Leftwich is still there, correct?
No, he's
what
in
I read. Oh, he's in Jacksonville.
That's right. He did go to Jacksonville.
But I don't know if you guys discussed, but last year, one of Brady's former teammates, what's his name, Rich Ornberger, said that he was the one that broke the story, and basically said that one thing that he heard was Leftwich and Brady would be going over offensive game plans in the mornings every single day, and Arians just happened to be there because he was rehabbing that Achilles that he hurt comically. Sorry, Achilles are horrible injuries, but that guy was like Humpty Dumpty falling over. And then Arians would redline their game plan at the last second, and both of them felt extremely undermined. Again, I'm sorry I'm late if you guys already discussed this, but you don't undermine the greatest player of all time and your offensive coordinator, let alone when you've won a Super Bowl. No, I don't think the minority mandate had anything to do with anything. I think it was just, if Brady's coming back, this is the condition. I'm sick of this. Brady is fairly reserved in the media, more or less. We all know that he likes the camera on him. But Arians is certainly narcissistic, and there's any chance to be on camera, he was going to take it. I'm not saying that camera was a relative factor. I'm just saying that, that goes along with Arians' personality, that he's got to be the focal point of the spotlight. He's got the personality to accompany that. Is that me? I'm getting static. Is that me?
I cleared it up. Go ahead.
Oh, sweet. So no,
we have
think it's a personality clash.
Technologies, boys. Go ahead, Rod. Finish up.
I would just say personality clash, and if Brady's coming back for one more, then he doesn't want to deal with that a-hole.
So, Robbie, up to you real fast. Is is Byron Leftwich in Jacksonville going, I just left the chance to be the head coach of the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I'm in Jacksonville? Because I think if he knows this, Leftwich gets the call above Bowles, or do you think it's still Bowles?
I mean, I think it's what Brady wants, really. Their relationship could have been, they may be stronger than him and both. Look, there's 32 of these jobs, only 32. You get offered one, you take it. I don't think Leftwich. You can always say, yeah, if I would have stayed, I would. But man, if you get one of these, especially as a minority candidate, you take it. You have to. I think he's going home to Jacksonville where he played, had a really successful career. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got I don't know the term, probably a 5-6 year contract. You got 5 years of Trevor Lawrence to build in Jacksonville. That's not a bad gig over 1 year window with Tom in Tampa Bay.
I think it's offense, defense. You can't clash with a defensive head coach versus an offensive guy, and it's just less drama. Hey, this guy does that. We do our thing. It just made sense, in my opinion. But sorry, Shane, go ahead.
No,
so let me jump to the next question, Shane, before you go then, because he kind of answered mine. Shane, is Tampa are they still the favorite in the NFC, or is it the Rams to repeat? Where does this affect their Super Bowl championship aspirations?
I think I still like the Rams to repeat over Brady coming back. They still got a few issues they need to figure out. I'm sure Gronk's going to end up re-signing with them. But I think this all just happened as of late. Again, would have Leftwich stayed if he would have known this was coming up? Who knows? But I think he's got a better chance to build his name as a head coach in Jacksonville, starting from the ground up with presumably franchise quarterback that's going to be there for a long time. So I like the move that he made there. And like Robbie said, I mean, when a job comes open, you got to take it. They're very limited. And again, he's home. He feels good there. And I think Todd Bowles is a good fit. I really do. I think he can steer clear of Brady. He knows how to be a head coach. He's done it before. And he can still run the defense. So I don't think it really changes much on the Bucs side of things as far as being competitive and still one of the favorites. But yeah, I like the move for Leftwich.
Not saying Todd Bowles is Rex Ryan, but could you imagine if Rex Ryan had Tom Brady as quarterback instead of Matthews or Mark Sanchez? That's scary.
Right.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and knock out some business. We want to bring in a sponsor for tonight's podcast, and it's a personal friend of mine. This time of the year, everyone looks at their front yard and they go, well, I'm going to get around to it, my lawn sooner or later. If you're 55 years old and you're like me, the last thing you want to do is cut your yard. Give my friend Dylan a call at 423-290-6983 at Around to It Lawn Care. Tell him River City Media sent you and get some special pricing. Again, it's Dylan at Around to It Lawn Care, 423-290-6983, or email aroundtoitlawncare@gmail.com. A dear friend of the show, starting his own business. He's my yard guy. If he'll mow my yard, he'll mow anybody's yard. So I want to get around to the opening subject then.
I got to say real quick, that's a brilliant graphic and name. Like, I'll get around to it. I just figured it out. I dig that. That's a nice graphic, and I've never met Dylan. I appreciate his sponsorship, but That's very clever, and I'm very impressed with that graphic because you couldn't pay me enough money to come up with something that creative.
Yeah, me either. So Dylan's got his stuff
Do any
together.
of you guys do your own yard work?
No,
Occasionally.
no, that
I've got kids in the neighborhood that need money.
That's right.
I grew up on the sand.
You don't have
I never
enough-
had a yard before.
I like to support
Grass is-
local business.
Yeah.
Grass is dumb.
If you are local, call Around to It Lawn Care, Dylan, or email him at aroundtoitlawncare@gmail.com. Robbie Davis, let's get to the Final Four, Elite Eight. As it broke, we started 2 weeks ago and said this tournament's going to be filled with upsets. This tournament's going to be everything. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be this. Then we all filled out our brackets and just put chalk in there. But at the end of the day, it is 4 blue blood programs that makes it to the Final Four. And all the craziness in the St. Peter's and the Kentucky out in round 1, Tennessee out in round 2, Michigan at 11 seed. It gets back to Villanova, North Carolina, Kansas, and why did I forget the 4th team?
Duke?
Villanova, Duke.
Dude, yeah,
Duke.
that's kind of a big
Who's-
deal.
Yeah, that
Who's
was a hard one to forget.
Yeah.
I've never heard
Yeah.
of them this year.
It comes back to 4 schools that we've all talked about for the last 2 decades. What happened?
I don't want to. I guess
Don't go there.
we are reckless speculation, so I guess I am going to go there. What does it go back to? A little bit of money, a little bit of whistles, a little bit of what they want to happen. Look, North Carolina, they were playing great. This was a misseeded tournament from the get-go. North Carolina was playing hot at the end of the year. But, it was Villanova. Look, you got through. So Coach K, Jay Wright, and Bill Self, some of the 3 of the top 15 coaches of all time in college basketball. Hubert Davis now putting his stamp on things. But Carolina's this is what talent does in the tournament. What do I think? I mean, yeah, it's going to be great, man. I'm excited. I'm one of those. I don't necessarily like the underdogs going all the way to the Final Four because I want the best teams. Like if St. Peter's was in here, they were fun to watch. But yeah, given a good coach and a good program, more talented, a week to prepare, it would have been a blowout just like it was against North Carolina. So I don't want that. But yeah, the tournament was fun. It is what it is. Like, it's always entertaining, a lot of upsets. What do I take away from it? Not much, man. I mean, the best players and absent Villanova, who I think we may get to this later. I think Jay Wright's the best coach in the game.
I think so too.
And then you have Duke, North Carolina, and Kansas just get the best talent. But yeah, so that's my takeaway.
Well, if we remember, our special guest, Roy Pankey, was on here, and he mentioned 3 times Kansas.
I picked
Shane,
them
what was
in
your
one of them.
takeaway from the tournament?
It's a crazy tournament. Always fun. And I think, as you start to get in this tournament, if you can survive, that first initial game and get out of that first round, even the second is tough. You really start building some momentum, and that's when I think a lot of the coaching experience comes into play that matches with the talent on your roster. You really know how to coach these guys up in the tournament. It's not a best out of 7. It's, survive and advance. And I think the coaching really is shown that, with this experience, they've been able to mesh this talent. It's like, Kansas, their defense hasn't been that great all year. as of late, man, their defense has been on fire. And Duke is the Duke that we expected this year. You know, after towards the end of the season and in the tournament and everything, when North Carolina won, I was like, Duke. I had Duke going out in like the first or second round just because they look terrible. But I mean, look what this talented team can do. And you know, I think Coach K's last two rounds building some momentum. I think these guys are playing harder for him. And yeah, I mean, you've got 4 blue blood programs that know how to survive in a tournament like this. And I think experience goes a long way to get these kids to understand how to play in each game.
We killed the ACC, and now they have 50% of the Final Four. Raj, your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, it's if you don't get snake bit with teams this talented in the early rounds, then the tournament is a war of attrition. Duke is probably the most talented team, at least starting 5 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if they can get past those first games, you know, Kentucky couldn't do it. They were ridiculously talented. Calipari has shown before that it can come together and work for him. But you know, one thing about Duke is they had a couple key pieces in Wendell Moore and that Roach kid that were a little bit older. And Wendell Moore's in his 3rd year. He got much better. He's kind of a steadying force. Then you have a go-to guy who's a freak in Banchero. Just an uber talented team. They've got Mark Williams, a big center. If you look at them statistically throughout the tournament, different guys have been the high assist man. Usually Banchero's the high points guy, but he takes way more shots and gets to the line more than anyone. But, you know, yeah, they do get some favorable whistles. It was a bit funny, and some would say classless and unprofessional when Arkansas was asked, when Note was asked about Duke. And he basically, you know, said that coming in, we knew that, you know, against a team like Duke, you're not going to get those calls, insinuating that you had to plan accordingly. And then Musselman laughed, and the big kid, what's his name? That kid was awesome in the tournament.
Williams.
Yes, Williams started laughing. Wasn't a great look, but it's true. However, that was a tough game, and I give Duke, you know, first 3 minutes, I thought Duke was going to roll. Texas Tech was going to roll them, you know, creating turnovers, this and that. But you know, every year teams have close calls. I go back to like UCLA in '95. Tyus Edney against Missouri had to go the length of the court in 5 seconds. They were far better than Missouri. They end up winning it all fairly comfortably. This, you know, again, talent generally reigns supreme. Every now and then an 11 seed gets there, or a later seed. But, you know, if you look at these 4 teams, they're, aside from Kentucky, arguably the 4 most talented teams in the country. You know, we could put Arizona there offensively, but we all saw they're soft and they don't play defense. You know, the cream rises to the top, and it's just a shame that that Moore from Villanova got hurt on, you know, one of the last plays of the game. You could see it happen in basketball, like a knee. That Achilles is just the biggest fear there is. You know, Justin Moore is a big guard who does it all. He and Colin Gillespie, he rebounds. That's just a typical Jay Wright kid that does it all. Tough as nails. Great defensively. It's a massive loss. Again, especially for a team that's not nearly as deep as the team they are playing. Who, yeah, I did pick them all in one of my $10 pools, but I also picked Arizona and.
Yeah, multiple bracket guy.
Yeah, like 4. I still will lose them all, but yeah, I mean, that's going to kill them. But yeah, you look at 4 teams and they're all like, especially starting 5, the 4 most talented starting 5s in the country, in my opinion.
All right,
So,
Robbie, let's you got some follow-up comments?
Yeah, can I get on? We need a random rant button for me. So
That's what the show is.
The NCAA. This is just a public service, free business advice for you guys. You guys have to get the officiating professionally under control, because your window for making money is this tournament, and the NFL is shrinking your window more and more. And I promise you, if you have these terrible officiating games, the gambling is now worldwide, America-wide. This is not the gambling tournament that it used to be. And putting on TBS and switching with TBS and CBS right now. So you're gonna have Duke, Carolina. They're gonna draw a low number Saturday because it's on cable, not network, or vice versa. I don't know what it is. But anyway,
Nothing new.
But yeah, like you got to get the officiating. You can't have your star sitting out for 2 fouls in the first half, like they did for the Gonzaga game.
Well, let's work our way into this. Let's start with North Carolina, Duke. I kind of looked at some of the stats, and what's amazing to me is both of these games feature polar opposites when it comes to shooting. North Carolina, 108 in the nation in shooting, 45.2%. Duke, a third in the nation in shooting, 49.4%. Is this the case of North Carolina started shooting better in the tournament, or is it the case, Shane, that defense rules the day in the tournament?
Well, it's hard to argue Carolina's defense, the way they've been playing lately. That's kept them in a lot of games and winning. So, but yeah, I think it's a little of both. I mean, you've got to be able to score the ball as well, especially, they know how to play Duke. They've beat them a couple times, but not this Duke team, not the team that's playing right now. This Duke team, I mean, they've really got a shot to really send Coach K out with a bang here. I was just super impressed. So, looked like a completely different team to me the last couple of weeks down the stretch. So, but yeah, Carolina, I just don't think their defense can keep up with this offensive team. And I know they beat them already this year, but if Duke plays like that, I don't think anybody can beat them.
Robbie, a question to you. Same question about the shooting, but I also want to add one other caveat to this. How North Carolina has Babcock underneath, big arms, big legs, big player, but Duke has both Banchero and Williams. How are you going to keep those two monsters off the boards in this game? I know Banchero averages about 10 or 11 boards a game, but Banchero and Williams both, to me, it looks like Duke has the advantage underneath.
Yeah, so part of Carolina's problem and part of why the numbers don't tell a true story is because it's Hubert Davis's first year, right? So he went from a Carolina program under Roy Williams that was post-centric. And so it was throw the ball in, try to shoot near the basket. Now they're getting into a 3-point, more Warriors type metrics, money ball, if you will, system. And so early in the season, Tennessee beat the doors off of Carolina early in the season, but it was just because that they were transitioning. Now they've transitioned into more of this 3-point system that Hubert Davis is going to run. The way you beat, and to answer your second question, so that's my first answer. Like, don't worry about statistics year long. Look at the last month. That's what's the true statistics because they've gotten the system. The second part of your question, how do you combat Duke? Is you make them play your game. Get those guys out. And I think, sadly, I predict this game's going to end in foul trouble. I think it's going to be who gets in foul trouble first. You have a lot of good athletes. You have a lot of bodies flying around. And this is where college refereeing has to get better. But that's my prediction. Whoever wins the foul trouble in the first half wins the game.
We'll get an official prediction from you shortly. Raj, building off what the other two guys said, who is the one guy? Who is the one guy that can dominate this game from either side?
Banchero, built pretty similar to Baycott, but he can do it all. He's got guard skills. He's very quick. He's very strong. One thing about North Carolina, they have Baycott and they have Manick. Manick would much rather, stand 15 feet away from the basket than bang. Whereas Duke has multiple guys that are going to hit the rim, especially Williams. And Manick's very slow with his feet. So Duke is certainly going to be more active on the inside. Yeah, these teams split during the regular season. Odd thing being is each one at the other's house, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I think that's going to be a big deal, is just Duke's athleticism. Now that can be counteracted by, making shots. And that's the great equalizer. One thing about North Carolina is, they've killed people on the boards in the tournament. A lot of offensive rebounds, a lot of second chance shots, third chance. So sometimes their shooting percentages can be skewed. Another thing about them is, again, I said this is a war of attrition in the tournament. They've had 4 different guys as their leading scorer in each game. A different guy, Manick with 28, Davis with 30. I think that's his career high. Baycott had 20 in the last game, and that was the only guy that did. And then if you saw UCLA, Caleb Love just went unconscious. As opposed to Duke, who did have different guys stepping up, they've got 3 or 4 dudes that can go off for 30 any night. And that's a pretty vital thing to have. And although Duke has the advantage with matchups and physically and in the post, North Carolina's just got this ability to have the next man up. And something tells me that they're going to show up.
So Randall will step out on the reckless speculation that Robbie hinted at. Right now, the line is Duke -4. North Carolina, the total is 151. My best bet, my bet your nuts, is going to come from this game, but it's not anywhere that I'm going to give out right now. There is no way this referee crew lets Duke's run in the semifinal. I believe you'll get a better called game in the final. But somehow,
I wouldn't bet on that either.
Coach K is getting to the finals, no doubt about it.
Look, you have to remember they lost X amount of money on COVID canceling this tournament. They've got to recoup that. How do you recoup that? Duke winning it.
It's already insufferable. It's been insufferable for the last 3 months. Just prepare yourselves, America, because it's going to be – we're going to hear about it for the next 10 years.
Duke wins.
It's going to be brutal.
Straight up.
And I'm pissed at myself for not thinking about that when I filled out my bracket.
I mean, they've looked terrible towards the end. Nobody knew they'd come together like this. And if you pick a bracket based upon conspiracy at the beginning, only you would do that. But, the talent came together, dude. I mean, you can't – you never know. It could have been Kentucky.
Let's get
completely
the picks and move on.
It's completely
Robbie.
different Duke. Yeah.
Robbie, Duke.
Yeah.
Raj, Duke is what I heard.
North Carolina to cover, Duke to win, unfortunately.
All right, Mr. Chain, we haven't heard your opinion.
Yeah, I think Duke covers. I think it's probably closer to 8 to 10 point game, Duke's favor.
All right, let's move over before we run out of time. Same question, Kansas, Villanova. Roy Pankey was on, and I actually texted Roy, and I was like, Kansas. And he kept telling me, Kansas, Kansas, Kansas. Kansas shoots worse than North Carolina. An outstanding 215th in the nation, 43%. Kansas, and I do believe, Robbie, you are correct. J-Rod is the best coach in America. Kansas is a 4.5 point favorite. How does this game play out, Robbie?
if the young kid didn't tear his Achilles tendon, I'd say I would take Villanova every day, all day, 3 times on Sunday. I do worry that because Villanova's lack of depth has been a problem all year. They've had problems with health wise, COVID stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Kansas covers, but I think Kansas is just too deep for them in this matchup. It's a lot like when Tom Izzo loses in these Final Four games. Jay Wright's still a better coach, but the horses are with Kansas. Kansas wins and moves on.
Justin Moore, Raj, was playing 34 minutes a game, shooting 43% from the 3 arc. Villanova, as Robbie just laid it out, has got a challenge ahead of them with this Kansas team.
Yeah, Moore was, in my opinion, their best defensive player as well. It is, again, a game of attrition. Villanova makes up for that by, I've ridden them very far. In my opinion, that's another thing, Robbie, aside from talent and headlines, is teams playing together and the best coach team.
Yeah.
And that's easily Villanova. Again, I agree. If Moore doesn't go down, I'd take them. I could see them flustering this Kansas team that's extremely shoot first. Dudes that love to put it up with Remy Martin, Obaji, and Braun. They can get the ball inside with McCormick, but he's not exactly the most efficient scorer in the world down low. He doesn't really quite have the hands that you'd like to see down there. But if we saw against Miami, Kansas has horses. They go 7, 8, sometimes even 9 deep. Again, a kid like Remy Martin, who was a star at Arizona State, is their 6th man, and he's led them in scoring in 3 out of the 4 games. Just too much firepower, in my opinion, which is a shame because Villanova beating Duke would be like my wet dream in college basketball this year. But when a kid pops his Achilles, a kid like that, I can't see them overcoming it. Now, they do have a lot of talent on that roster. Kids that haven't played as much need to step up. There's one kid I think he's a 5-star that I can't recall his name right now, but you just don't replace Justin Moore. He does too many things. He's kind of like Magic in the 1980 championship for the Lakers. The kid can literally play all 5 positions, and it's not just based on size and strength. It's intelligence. He knows each position, where to go in that offense, more importantly, what to do on defense. Fairly irreplaceable kid like Gillespie, who we saw last year when he went down. Nova went down early, and not quite the heart leader like Gillespie is for that team, and a darling for basically being a blue-collar steelworker who plays 180%. But I can't see them overcoming Justin Moore. Just brutal loss, especially against a team with horses. Much tougher than Kansas, but it hurts.
To make your point, Shane, to make Roger's point even greater, Kansas has 2 people that play over 30 minutes. Everyone else in the tournament has at least 4 guys playing over 30 minutes. Kansas, maybe the deepest team, they have 4 guys playing right around the 22-minute mark. Without Justin Moore, it's going to be a nightmare matchup for Villanova.
It is. You guys all hit the nail on the head there. I mean, they're a skeleton team already in depth and overcoming, arguably best player on their team or top 2 anyway. They're just not going to do it. And they can't run with this Kansas team. And, Kansas held a hot Miami team. Their defense is starting to mesh well and step up, to 50 points. So
they were awesome.
That's going to be trouble too. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a close game either. I think this one might be a little bit more than a line as well.
Bill Self, say what you will about him, he knows his team, and he is a master of substitutions, in my opinion.
Yeah,
a lot better than Calipari when it comes to that.
So my official pick, and I'll go around before we move on. Give me Kansas. Give me Kansas to cover. Matter of fact, I think this could get big in the second half, double digits. So give me the Jayhawks. So congratulations, Jay Wright and Villanova. You're going to the final game because I just picked Kansas. Robbie Davis.
As much as I love Villanova and Jay Wright, Kansas is at play here.
Rod Meta.
It's kind of funny. Both games are 4-point spreads in the Final Four. Vegas just messing with us per usual. I don't know about the spread because I think Villanova just will not give up. Way more heart, way more tough than Kansas. But Kansas wins. They're too deep, too much. Justin Moore's playing. I'm Villanova all day. He's certainly worth 4 points. But in this particular matchup, again, I don't know about the spread, but I think Villanova keeps it under double digits just because they're too tough, too much heart. But Kansas wins the game.
Jane.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunate for Nova in this situation that happened because, like you guys said, they had a chance, to make it to the final game here. So easy pick now. I think it's Kansas. I think the cover, and I agree with you, Randall, that it could get upwards of double digits towards the end of the second half.
Not that we'll break down the last game. We've all picked it to be Kansas and Duke. But if you were going to come out, Robbie, with an overall champion, are you going the Blue Devils just on the theory that there's no way they don't win?
No. Kansas can smother you. Like, as much as Blanchero and Roach and as much as talent as Duke has, Kansas can swarm you. I don't know yet, man. I don't know how – I have to break down a matchup. But, no, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Duke could win this. All four of these teams are really good.
Rod, you want to give us an overall winner?
Well, one thing about Nova, the kid I was thinking of was Longino, Jordan Longino, he was a 4 and 5-star in some respects. Funny thing about Villanova and Jay Wright, they've got Longino played in 26 games. Archie, I can never pronounce that kid's name. The dude's little brother played in 34. Brian Antoine played in 19. These guys all average under 2 points per game. It's not like Nova was blowing people out. Jay Wright is also a master of substitution, but he preaches defense more than anything. So you got a 5-star, 4-star kid that is not, again, the size of Justin Moore, but they've got a shot. And these kids know the system, and they play defense. Unlike most kids that don't play and you come on off the bench, they don't play defense. But this team does. So I wouldn't write out Villanova. Again, easily the best coach team. But to answer your question, yeah, I think Duke has got too much, including the mojo and the non-legal mojo, as we've alluded toward. Just too much talent.
Shane, overall final winner?
Yeah, I'm on the Duke train as well. If this team continues to play that well, against Arkansas, that was a great game, and their offensive firepower, too much talent. Even that, what's that freshman? Their guard, he's been playing really well. Trevor Keels or whatever.
Keels.
Yeah, he's easily a top 5 guard in the country next year.
Yeah, well, they have 2 top 5 draft picks on their roster.
Yeah.
Like, they're insane.
Yeah, it's little favor from the whistle side too. I don't see this team losing as well. Right now.
We all picked Duke like our puppy just died, and then we have to give our pick. Like
I said, I had him going out in like the second round, so I'm not happy about it. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm
going to go back to Roy Pankey's Kansas pick, and I'm going to ride out with the Jayhawks. We'll see how it goes. But we'd be remiss. We are Chattanooga based if we didn't mention.
I would bet on Kansas of these 4.
Mm-hmm.
and to me, somewhat of a shocking move today. Just to give y'all some information, Dan Earl is named the head coach of the Chattanooga Mocs, replacing Lamonte Paris. Dan Earl gets this job with a 346 winning percentage at VMI, a place that's tough to win. I get it. But you would think UTC, with the reputation of Mac McCarthy, Paris now, McCarthy, of course, left for VCU. Now Paris leaves for little USC, South Carolina. Does it surprise you the Mocs stayed within the Southern Conference, hire a head coach with a sub under 400 winning percentage? The guy has a sparkling reputation at VMI. Robbie, it didn't add up to me.
Well, I think your question led to the answer. So UTC has tried to hire these up-and-comers. They come, they win, they move on.
They do a great job.
Well, why not try to hire somebody who's in the conference that could be a lifer in here, or at least for
Good point.
a 5 or 6 year run, not an up-and-comer. You're at VMI. Hey, VMI is not an easy place to win. It's the same thing as Navy football or Army football.
Ironically, associate head coach at Navy prior to VMI's head coaching job.
Yeah, you can go 3-7 at Army in football and still be a dang good coach. So your record does not necessarily correlate how good you are as a coach. So in that sense, I can see this for UTC, because what good is it to keep changing over coaches? Get some stability in the program and see how that works.
Good point. Rod, your thought?
This was a Southern Conference Coach of the Year with a 500 record overall and in the conference for a reason. VMI is easily the hardest school, not only in the SoCon, but probably in one of the few in the South to win at. I'm surprised they're even D1. No resources. Dan Earl was under Ed DeChellis at Penn State. He knows what he's doing. And yeah, he went to Navy. He's been to all these places and paid his dues. It's one thing about Chattanooga and the athletic department. They are brilliant when it comes to hiring coaches in basketball, stepping stone guys. I wish every major school were like these guys that has turnover. They know what they're doing. Dan Earl, UTC exponentially more talented. They split with them, barely beating them at home and losing at VMI, or actually the other way around. They saw them play and they knew that this dude can coach. And I agree. I don't think he's a lifer. I think he's going to win here, as UTC has become a great stepping stool program, a place for, second chances, redemption projects like D'Souza, you name it. Kids come here, and it's a great step.
Better than hiring Will Wade back, right?
Exactly. I mean, Will Wade, once upon a time, was a great coach before he sold his soul. But, they've done a great job, and I think they know what they're doing. Again, SoCon Coach of the Year with 500 records across the board means that everybody else recognizes that this dude has done the near impossible at a program that shouldn't even have a D1 basketball team. But thank you for your service.
All right, Shane, you got any thoughts on it? Or
I kind of agree with Robbie's theory a little bit. Instead of going on this coaching carousel, try and keep somebody for 5-7 years. So yeah, I think it's a good hire.
We lost somebody. I guess
we lost Robb.
If you want to go mix a drink, don't just leave your camera on while I got the graphic up. Well, this is the perfect time to move on. Let's move on to the MLB subject of the night. MLB's just around the corner, and I know for two guys that's great news. Usually this is where I switch into my 1 month dedication to Major League Baseball before I get distracted by NFL training camps. And then I come back in about September. But I wanted to talk about, I read an article and saw recently an article from MLB.com rating, and by the way, I had the Dodgers listed as maybe the best lineup of all time. I looked at 4 lineups, and I picked out 4 teams that I want to talk about just a little bit. And we'll start with said Dodgers. Mookie at the top, Freddie in the 2-hole, Trey Turner in the 3-hole, Max Muncy in the 4-hole, Will Smith in the 5-hole, Justin Turner in the 6-hole. And I think this is where it comes apart a little bit for the Dodgers. I do not think Cody Bellinger is the player he was 3 years ago by far. And the metrics, the sabermetrics would show that at best, Cody Bellinger is an average player now. Chris Taylor in left field and A.J. Pollock as a hitter. They rank that lineup as the best. Raj, it's hard for me to argue 1 through 4 that that's not as good as there is in the major leagues. But the bottom of that lineup, it gets a little sketchy to me. Do you see that?
No. Bellinger is struggling. It's like Serrano. Everybody goes off speed and he chases right now. One thing about Bellinger is he's a former MVP, he is. And he's an amazing center fielder. So defensively, they're one of the best in baseball. You've got all-stars at every position. They've got probably the best young catcher, if not overall catcher in the game, in Will Smith. Now you've got a guy who, the Braves, I love what they did, but you can't underestimate the value of Freddie Freeman, especially in the 2-hole. What he does for moving over. Mookie Betts was hurt last year. Let's not forget how great he is. He's probably a Hall of Famer. Freddie Freeman, Hall of Famer. If you go down the line, you've got power, you got speed. Trey Turner is irreplaceable. Pollock last year killed it. Chris Taylor was an all-star who can play. The Dodgers love versatility. They can mix in all these guys, including their bench. Getting Lamb, they let go of a guy, Matt Beatty, who did pretty well, but as a 29-year-old first baseman and not even that great of a defensive first baseman, there wasn't much room for him. And they went for Jonathan Villar and Lamb, dudes that have versatility, that have proven they can hit. Alex Anthopoulos from the Braves is a disciple, a protege of the Dodgers GM Andrew Friedman. It's all about versatility, about bullpen, and about contact hitting. And the Dodgers do that better than anybody. Are they the best? That stuff's lame. No, they're not. Who cares? And plus, it doesn't matter. Last year, the Dodgers won, 110 games, whatever they won. They couldn't hit in the postseason, except ironically, one guy who hit 353, and that was Cody Bellinger. The potential is there to be just outstandingly dynamic, but, they don't have the starting rotation depth right now. They have a lot of injuries. Their bullpen is good, but it depends on dude's health. Not as good as the Braves, that's for sure. So anointing them now is just stupid, in my opinion. We saw what happens last year when you get starters hurt. I think they're the best overall lineup. People said they were before they got Freeman. But no, I don't think the bottom is very bad. I think they have the best bottom part of the order in baseball.
The pin does bother me on the backside. Robbie, you got any comment? Best lineup in baseball?
Not really. No, I will say
to put that one on the team for you. No, seriously.
Wait,
Are you saying you don't have a comment, or they're not the best lineup?
No, I was just trying to throw him a little bit. It really comes down. Did the Braves do the right thing not paying Freddie and letting him walk? Is it true that small market teams cannot afford their superstars always?
Well, so this is my theory. What the Braves did is, so they won the championship, obviously. And they took a gamble and they said, we can bring somebody in to replace his numbers, which is Moneyball 101. It's just a numbers issue. and then Freddie Freeman went to the Dodgers. Well, can you replace that locker room? Because the one thing I took away from watching the Braves last year is they loved each other and they played together. And so I don't think you can there's a reason why you can say, yeah, the Red Sox have won with the Moneyball philosophy. And that may be true. They won with the best players also. But Atlanta last year had the best locker room. And the Dodgers in the past have had the best locker room too. It's tough. It's a 162-day or game grind. Look, if you don't like what you're doing, it doesn't matter. I don't care how well you are paid. If you don't like what you're doing, if you don't like coming to work, the money's irrelevant. You don't like being there. And that's something that's hard to replace.
That's a good point. Shane, if it comes down in the world of baseball to dollars and cents, there's kind of one that's an exception to this. We didn't talk about it, but there is the White Sox and the Rays and these teams that are able to do it year in, year out on a limited budget. Are they just doing it better than everybody else, or is there a science to this, as Robbie said, Moneyball wise?
I think there's definitely a little bit of a science and, getting players and egos to mesh well. Certainly on paper, LA is the favorite. But again, that's just paper. It comes down to, making it to the postseason, and then it's the hot team. It's not always the best talented team that wins. I mean, we've seen that year in and year out. Now, last year, the Braves made some great pickups midseason. And Jorge Soler was one of them. He was a huge factor in the postseason. And I hated to see that guy go from the Braves. I wish they could have kept him around. But, I'm not a hardcore Braves fan like you, and I get what Freeman meant to the Braves and the fans and, understanding that. But at the same time, it is business. You're getting a younger talent that is comparable to Freeman. I think, what do you have?
Matt Olson.
Yeah, Matt Olson, 39 home runs last year. I mean, I think he's averaged close to Freeman's batting average, more RBIs, also a good defender on first. So, I think it's a good move for the Braves. And also the Dodgers do what the Dodgers do. I mean, they've always have a star-studded lineup, and, that doesn't necessarily give you the championship at the end of the year. So it's, going to come down to the postseason again.
One thing about both teams quickly is, Tampa as well. Those three teams are brilliant. Versatility, defense, short-term contracts. Now, the Dodgers have kind of strayed from their philosophy, but they did it with Mookie, who was young, not exactly given a 31-year-old Pujols a 10-year contract like the Angels did. And Freeman, who's front-loaded, options, 6-year deal. They just needed that guy, that presence, that glue, that first baseman. I love Max Muncy, but he's not a natural first baseman. He made a dumb move and got hurt in the last game of the year. They emphasized bullpen. The Braves signing Colin McHugh for 2 years, $10 million, getting Rosario for what they got him for. Just brilliant, versatile contracts, versatile defensively, contact hitters that don't strike out. Tons. Again, I said defense. All three of those teams have the same philosophy. And sure, the LA has more money, but when you look at LA, again, only those two were really purchased: Buehler, Kershaw, Urias. They did pay for Bauer. Look how that turned out, but that was only a 3-year deal. Vesia, Bickford, Trinan, who was a reclamation project, Will Smith, Chris Taylor, Justin Turner, Trey Turner, they did trade for, but that's because they needed one more year after Seager left because they couldn't afford him. Pollock reclamation, Bellinger through the system, Muncy through the system. They do have a high payroll, but that's because they have shown a willingness to pay guys that were due. But when certain guys like Seager they couldn't afford, they had to let him walk, and they had insurance policy, just like Atlanta. Atlanta is a less kind of lower market, even though Atlanta is a huge market. Sort of more money ball as Rob
Atlanta
said,
is owned by a corporation where the Dodgers are owned by individuals. That's a huge
They are
difference.
now. They weren't back in the day, a parking lot owner in McCourt. But yeah, both of those teams have great bullpens like the Rays. And, I think Atlanta did phenomenally this offseason. But Robbie's right. You don't replace what Freddie Freeman was to the Braves. To go from Chipper to Freeman, even Chipper said it. Pay him whatever he wants, man. Chipper knows what he's worth.
Yeah.
And now that guy is gone. Yeah, there's Acuna and Albies, but are those the vocal leaders and the veterans and again, uber talented team, but you can't replace a guy like Freddie Freeman.
Well, the Cardinals did this mistake with Pujols, let him walk, and they haven't won since.
And he signed. He re-signed yesterday for one more year, but Pujols was vital to the Dodgers, who had so many injuries, a lot of long relievers hurt, but Pujols was huge. Hugged everybody after a homer. They called him Uncle T.O. Albert, Uncle Albert.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so
the locker room is huge.
Question for you guys. If you say the premise of this question, I have the best team, which sport do I want to win the championship for? Like which is my best way? College football?
College football.
Yeah.
Randall?
College football.
I say NBA, but that's interesting. Y'all are 3 or 4 of college football.
You can get hot
NBA.
in the other 3.
NBA. There's few upsets in the NBA, but there's 2 upsets.
Hey,
I didn't think college football. That's a great. Yeah, I'm surprised you guys all went. That's a great one.
Talent reigns supreme, but you look at a team like Detroit, who nobody like back in the day, Billups,
Toronto,
Tayshaun Prince Wallace, or Toronto. They can play as a team and they can get hot.
Even
they can play
Milwaukee
defense.
Last year, 2 years ago, whatever that was.
Not arguably. I mean, Golden State's been probably the most talented team, and the last 5 years they got 1 title.
Before we get off the subject, I want to wrap up my thought on it because I really didn't expand on it. I think the Braves are built for a longer run than the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
And for the Braves to – it's not like the Braves have a minimal payroll. They have the 8th payroll. They have Acuna signed to year 2032 or something ridiculous. Albie signed for another 6 years. The Braves will take a young talent and sign him a longer period.
Yeah.
Where the other franchises won't buy people out of their last arbitration years. I've been asked multiple times how I feel about Freddie leaving, and I got nothing bad to say about Freddie. But I like the move for Atlanta. They secured for 8 years a first baseman that wants to be in Atlanta, begged to be in Atlanta. And Freddie is a great, but I also think the leadership in that team is due for a changeover.
Hey,
Brandon, I was going to ask too. Go ahead, Rob.
Hit 195 last year.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So, in MLB, if I'm these Braves players, I have a large distrust now for the franchise. So can I force my trade like you can in basketball or the NFL, or is it just is the owners so ironclad that doesn't happen in baseball?
I don't know if the players in Atlanta have that distrust. If you read all the articles.
But how can you not? If I just spent my career with you and I won the World Series and you just shoved me out the door, how does that not reverberate throughout the organization of you don't have my back as a player?
I will
Guys said that.
Chipper said.
Players said that.
I will correct everybody a little bit.
I don't think, though, necessarily.
Let me make this one point. The Braves were willing to go with Freddie wherever he went. Freddie's agent very publicly gave Alex Anthopoulos 1 hour to sign a contract. He bullied Alex into a corner. At the same time, you have a 28-year-old that's saying, I will sign your long-term deal if you will trade for me.
They had 2 years to get an extension.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
And
I
they had a
don't think
lockout.
the Braves. If I'm a player,
They were moving on. They
That's
did
the
a
same
smart
guy
thing, but
they bought out of
yeah.
arbitration and gave $135 million.
no one
Freddie
cares
Freeman is
about
a
that.
very rich man
he
because
probably
the
could have gotten
Braves
more
bought
at
him
the
out of
time.
arbitration early.
Well, no, Randall, this is a fan's perspective. Look at it as the player's perspective.
I think the players,
These guys
and I
said
think Chipper Jones supports what the Braves did.
He didn't.
Chipper,
He said to pay him whatever he wants. He said he
Chipper
got it.
said
Later, he said
Freddie,
he
you
got
played
it.
a
But
dangerous
initially, he
game
said
and
the Braves
lost.
were stupid. Yeah, he changed his perspective. At first, he said something totally different.
Nobody's
and then he
more of a
became
Braves
a
owner than I am, and
he became a company man.
So didn't the
don't
Braves
think
offer
you
him?
call a major league team and say you have 1 hour to sign a contract,
Wasn't
I
the
think
biggest
that's-
and
issue
then
with
you go to your press conference and you're
Absolutely, you
bitter.
can. They do it the other way
I
around.
think that's BS too.
I don't.
None of us
so
were there.
Wasn't
Again, they could have gotten an
it's as
extension
public as everything
all
else.
year.
I think
They knew what they were doing. They got their ring. They built for that ring.
Hey, you
I think
have
they're a
till
better
4
team in the long
o'clock
run
today
with
to
Matt
sign
Olson.
it.
I really.
He hit 195 2 years ago. Usually he's like a
Yeah,
career
during a
250
COVID
hitter.
year with an injury. Guys,
Injury.
you gotta let it play out.
Wasn't the biggest issue the length of the contract, the years on the deal that the Braves
The
offered?
Braves.
Well, they gave Olson 8.
So
Right,
Freddie
but I'm
would have
talking
made
with
more
Freddie.
money
That
in
was his
Atlanta.
issue. He wanted 6, and they offered what, 4 or 5?
The Braves offered more on the same contract that he signed with the Dodgers.
Right.
It became Freddie danced with all the pretty girls, and
He thought
the
he could
Braves
get
moved
more
on.
money.
No.
Yeah.
You can't get lost in the facts. It's the perception of the facts that what matters. And
He's
so
absolutely right.
Atlanta players, what they perceive is the Braves turn their back on Freeman after he won them a World Series. That's the problem.
He's 32, not 40.
I
You
don't
also,
think,
as
I
a
don't
player,
think
you
this is
gotta,
playing out near as ugly in Atlanta as you perceive it is.
as a player, you
Wait.
got to realize this is
Well,
a business too. Like,
Freeman's gone. Yeah,
this
So-
exactly. It
not-
is.
Again, it's going to come down to
If they don't win this year, what's the difference? Freeman's gone. So you better
Well,
win.
I got a question for you, Randall. So who on the roster can actually step up and be that locker room presence that Freeman?
so the Braves won the World Series where Freddie hit like $190.
Right.
This team is this is the problem I have with everybody saying there's no leadership. This team is
And without Acuna.
they
Right.
won it
Well, they
without
had-
Acuna, without
They had Jorge
Marcell
Soler
Ozuna.
who hit like 350 in the postseason. So I mean,
Rosario hit like 800.
Yeah.
So
Rosario.
for the Braves, it was a
yeah,
trade. It was
Leadership
a
is
trade of Freddie Freeman for Matt Olson, Colin McHugh, Kelson Jenner, and Eddie Rosario. To me, as an organization, it's a win for the same money. It's ugly, but it's the fact of life when you don't have $300 million for a payroll.
I do think you're fanboying it a little bit, but I understand your perspective. Jansen was a great sign as a 34-year-old veteran who's seen it all. They know what they're doing, but I don't think you can underestimate the value of Freddie Freeman, and I agree with Rob. It's sport of loyalty. Yeah, it's Moneyball, and we all get it. They got their ring, but then
So
they kicked
let
the
me ask
guy
you
out,
this.
and it
Who
was a
else-
bad look the way it went out. It was a really
Who
bad
else?
look, and then they blamed the player who was the
No,
heart
no,
of the
no,
team
they
for
did
10
not.
years. Oh, they blamed the agent. And then you said it was a bad look for Freddie that Chipper said. Initially, he said Atlanta was stupid and the Dodgers should pay him whatever he wants.
And
There's a
Freddie,
lot of optics here and there's a lot of politics, and I feel like you're buying into them, but I think they did very well. There's no doubt about it.
so
but
it's
yeah,
the difference for me. If you're
he's
everybody
irreplaceable.
assumes that Atlanta owed Freddie Freeman something. Even as a fan, my objection is Atlanta bought Freddie out of arbitration 8 years ago and made him a very wealthy man.
He was 24.
No.
there's some loyalty that was owed on that side too.
Randall, you're looking at an event.
Freddie hit 304 in the postseason last year, Randall.
Hold on. Randall, you're looking at an event. You're looking at Freddie Freeman in Atlanta. Look at the system. Zoom out. This is the problem. Atlanta's a corporate-owned team.
Yes.
Corporation looking at money, they're not looking at individuals and the players. I do believe they will pick up on this, and this is not an organization you want to stay with if they turn your back on you.
So, guys, the last thing
Agreed.
I'll say, the guy they got signed in 24 hours.
That's an event.
And it's a franchise that's had a method that has won for 3 decades.
2 championships with
He's physically a clone of Freddie, by the way. 6'5", 220.
2 championships.
Great first base.
Had a decade with the best players.
14 years in the playoffs. I trust
win.
Alex Anthopoulos, and I trust what was said in the press conference.
I like the Braves. I don't want to take.
He's a great GM. He's a great.
I think
GM.
they made the right move for the franchise's long-term health, and if we won't judge that this year, we'll judge that over the next 8 years.
They hit jackpot with their system, just like Tampa and LA with the farm. I mean, they got Acuna and Albies. Like, good Lord, 2 young, dynamic. That's the best young duo
the
in
way
the world.
it's put together is different. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays puts it together even differently, and I guess that's my point.
They're broke.
The Major Leagues has a system, and no other sport has a salary system more than Major League Baseball. And the teams that win stay with their system. I think the Braves, I'm not shocked. Last year after the playoffs, I was already saying Freddie will not be back. When he didn't sign at the beginning of the year last year, I thought there was a very good chance Freddie would not be back. So
I get it, but yeah, they did him dirty in the kids' eyes, in the players' eyes. I agree with Rob. Agree to disagree. But
Matt
great
Olson
GM, great team.
He's very happy in Atlanta.
He is.
Yeah.
He just made $30 million or whatever.
Yeah, he got the same money. So let's move on to the NFL draft. The draft special here on April the 28th. Hopefully the Raiders pick some. The Raiders don't have a first-round pick. I don't know what we're going to do.
Thank God. Nothing to blow.
So we will be here for at least the first 10, 15 picks. Last year we intended to go 2 hours. We went like 4 hours.
Oh, we got to do the whole first round.
By the way, Leatherwood was the lowest graded starting offensive tackle or guard rather in the NFL last year. Led the league in holding penalties or something like that.
Let's run through some teams that's made moves and what they can do to replace those moves. I want to start with that Oakland pick. Aaron Rodgers signs his mega deal and now has nobody to throw the football to. Green Bay has 2 first-round picks. Can you get it done with 2 first-round picks and rebuild that receiving core? Start with you, Brendan.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, I agree. Devontae is, top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, but you also look who was throwing him the ball. I think Rodgers, he's one of those quarterbacks that can, make a wide receiver that's slightly above average, elite, if they build that rapport. So, yeah, I think Rodgers knew this was coming. There's no way he would have signed this deal if he didn't know about it. I think he knew it was coming. He got his money, and he's like, I'm good enough. He's arrogant and narcissistic enough that he thinks, we'll just make the next man up. So, but I think they can. Arm talent like that, it might not quite be Devontae, but you get a couple guys that can run a good route tree and then has some hand talent. I don't see them really slipping that far.
To me, Robbie, the Packers need a good draft more than any team in the NFL. They have 3 primetime picks to basically rebuild the offensive side of the football. You do have A.J. Dillon, who you think is becoming a superstar and is the next running back to be featured in that offense. But you got Ryan Tanyan that's kind of made some noise over the last year. You've got a couple of guys that you've heard around. But is it in the draft, or can they go get someone to help that receiving core?
Well, we have to start looking at the numbers, right? And so we have to start realizing Aaron Rodgers is a 500 playoff quarterback. Look, he's talented. He's great. But look, I mean, he keeps making excuses. Look, you're not going to get rookie quarterback or rookie receivers that are better than Devontae Adams. Like, you're just not. And so he just wants to downplay this thing. Oh, and his excuse next year is going to be, oh, I had rookie receivers. Look, they were the number 1 seed last year, and because of him, and do not discount that at all, because of him and him alone, they traded Devontae Adams because he's the be-all, end-all at Green Bay.
Offered more money to stay in Green Bay.
Yeah, so like he wants to revamp this franchise for what? Like, he is a narcissist. He's an egomaniac. Like, look, we got to like, and this is what to circle back to the Braves locker room talk. You have to have a good team. This is a team sport. Aaron Rodgers isn't a good team leader. He's won as probably the top 4 talented quarterbacks of all time. That's on him.
So
the other thing
Rod,
is quickly. Sorry, go ahead.
The one question I have for you, though, is the Dolphins make the move to get Tyreek Hill. They still have 2 first-round picks. Are they not in a position to build fast in Miami?
Yeah, them and Philly have done a great job. They both have multiple picks. Now, one thing about Green Bay is that both of their picks in the bottom 10. The reason why I bring that up is wide receivers historically and traditionally and notoriously the toughest position for a rookie to make a huge impact. There's a reason for that. It's receiver quarterbacks, they depend on timing, on, a sixth sense, on mojo, on knowing the system, on, check downs, on audibles, on running plays where they just look at each other and they know what to do based upon the defense. You don't get that from rookies. Great rookie receivers in the last 10, 15 years, if you go back, the best seasons were in the 60s. Aside from the last 10 or 15 years where you had freaks physically, OBJ, rest in peace, ODB, Julio Jones, AJ Brown,
Okay.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, 2 LSU guys that are freaks athletically where the ball went underneath or deep a lot. They're not going to get anybody, in my opinion, that will be able to do that. They want another big receiver. It took time for Devontae to get that connection, 2 or 3 years. The other thing is they lost Ladarius Smith on defense. They lost a few dudes. I can't remember the corner they lost as well. So their defense got worse, and their biggest playmaker left. And Rodgers got a record contract despite being 36 or 8. They're in trouble. Yeah, Miami is Tua the guy. I don't think so, but we'll see. I mean, statistically, he's got great numbers when it comes to efficiency and whatnot. But yeah, what do they have? 3 first-round picks and Philly the same. So, like Robbie always says, is the resident capologist. They're going to get tons of dudes on rookie deals, and traditionally, that's what's shown to basically be the biggest boon. A lot of the teams today, Buffalo, Cincinnati, these are teams in great positions to move on. You can't buy talent in the NFL anymore, except for the Rams.
Yeah.
At the same time all this is going on, let's talk about one other place. The Buffalo Bills seemingly is the one team that needs a piece in the backfield or a piece to go along with Stephon Diggs. If you were the Buffalo GM and you've missed basically
What is that?
and I got a hum coming, guys. You've missed during the free agency period getting that impact player on the offensive side of the football. I guess they did make a couple of pickups. If you were the Bills GM, is there somebody you go get right now? Is there a running back, a tight end, someone to give Josh Allen the weapon to get over the hump? Raj, we'll go to you. You seem to be nodding with that question.
Yeah, I mean, they're not stupid either. NFL running backs have a half-life unless you're a freak like Derrick Henry. More or less, you get 3, 4, maybe 5 years and you're dead. It's not a position when it comes to efficiency that you want to pay. In the draft, they got a great OL. They got a quarterback who makes things happen, gets outside the pocket. A running back is going to be the third or fourth option in that offense. Nobody's going to key on him. Running back traditionally has shown that first-round picks have not done exceptionally great. They've done exceptionally well at mining talent. They know what they're doing. They'll probably go corner early and then get that back in the second, third, fourth round. There's so many gems in the NFL, and I think they're going to draft and do well, get that rookie deal, and they're going to get a monster. If Singletary and Moss, they did sign Duke Johnson, if these guys can have super productive seasons, then imagine them getting a kid like the Ohio State kid, Teague, or some just monster, that
Master
physically today, Master Teague, if you saw that guy at his pro day, good God.
Yeah.
There's just so much talent in the NFL, especially at running back, that you can plug in on value.
Totally agree there.
All right. That was a great lead in to the Tennessee Titans. Failed experiment with Julio. No production from tight end to speak of. Best running back in the NFL and a great wide receiver. Limited options and elite talent. What does the Titans do, my two Titans fans? Jane, we'll start with you.
I think they've got to go offensive line or wide receiver in this first pick. They get the 26th pick. I've heard guys' names thrown out there. Treylon Burks, potentially for wide receiver. And then a guy that I really like on the O-line is Kenyon Green from Texas A&M. He's a plug-and-play starter from day one.
Linderbaum, the center from Iowa. Great matchup.
Yeah, but we
right.
just re-signed Ben Jones, so.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, we're going to keep him. So.
Oh, my bad.
Saffold gone. We're looking interior line. We need a guard.
No second-round pick either.
Or a tackle. So.
Green is a monster. Great call.
Texas A&M. I love Kenyon Green. He, big dude. 26 pick. I think he'll be there unless we get lucky and have like a Chris Olave fall.
Is that my phone or is
no? That is not. I don't know how to turn this off right now. My computer's bad. It's all screwed up right now. So.
Okay.
I apologize, guys. I can't mute that.
I'll put you on mute after you talk.
Yeah. So, but no, I do. I like the Kenyon Green or pick from A&M for the Titans. It's not a sexy pick for your first rounder, but it's something that's at a necessity. But I mean, we could go either way here. I think we can get a tight end later in the rounds. We definitely need help there. Wide receiver is probably we don't have a second round, but we get a third round at pick 90. I think wide receiver, we could find somebody there as well. We got
Robert Woods for a 6th-round pick. He's got to be healthy, but that was a phenomenal acquisition.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
No, exactly. But
huge clubhouse guy too, or locker room.
Is he healthy though to even start to
see? Treylon Burks would be a great
He'll
addition.
Come back,
he's a big 6'2", 225, big-bodied receiver. he could allow Woods to move inside, play the slot a lot more, and free him up. So
don't they need somebody quick, fast, to take the top off the defense?
We do, for sure. But I'm just saying, if it went that way, as a run first team, getting another big body like that in the red zone would be a great addition as well. But I think they got to go offensive line first. It's not, like I said, a sexy fan pick, but
Smart.
I really think they should.
Robbie, do they not have to come out with a tight end somewhere in this draft?
So for the second time in the Titans' young existence, they have been damn close to winning a Super Bowl, but the window is just not there anymore. Like, the AFC is so loaded now. Now I start to think about, do we regroup, we being the Titans regroup and just say, hey, what's the next level looking at? Look, we don't have the horses to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and Herbert and now Russell Wilson and all these teams that are in the AFC. So yeah, so if I'm the GM of the Titans, I'm a seller. I'm a seller, a rebuyer later on.
Interesting. All right, guys, one last question about the draft. We'll skip the USFL for this week. Come back to it the next week. We'll hit the Masters after this and call it a night. But I do want to talk about the quarterback class. So many quarterbacks moved during the offseason. There is not a lot of talent at the top of this quarterback class. You have Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Seattle. You have some very quarterback needy teams. There's one of these guys, if you're a GM, you're taking, we'll go Rod, then Brandon, then Robbie. Rod, is it me? I think I got you muted. Go ahead, Rod.
Quickly, Tannehill's the reason why you guys aren't, but I agree being a seller. But it depends on the fit. Lamar Jackson was physically dynamic, but he wasn't, I don't believe, the first guy people thought of. You get a guy like Malik Willis in the right system, and, physically he's a freak. This is not the NFL of Achilles Smith and Johnny Manziel. It's a different game today. Corral I watched a lot of. I think he's overrated. But then, you've got good game managers like Desmond Ridder, who doesn't make mistakes, a guy that I think you really have to watch. Sam Howell makes bad decisions. Corral used to make bad decisions. He relied on stuff that you can't rely on the NFL. Pickett is a pure drop-back passer. This whole hands thing, I think, is overrated.
If
Derek
Kenny
Carr has
Pickett
small
had
hands and
big
he fumbles,
he would be the hottest name in the NFL right now. Because the guy's hands measures are 8 inches, he's going to drop 20 spots in the draft.
Unfortunately, yeah. But, there's been plenty of small hand QBs in the past, right? I can't think of anybody. Did Drew Brees have huge hands? I don't know. Joe Burrow doesn't have huge hands. Mahomes, relatively speaking, doesn't have huge hands, but not like Pickett. Derek Carr does not either, and that guy fumbles all the time, so maybe there is a point there. Garoppolo, not a great example. Very similar hands. But, yeah, what did you say it was 6 inches? Because Brady and Carr, these guys are all 9. If Pickett's got
8 inches.
6 inches, 8 inches. So,
Robbie,
it is a big deal, but I agree. Pure pocket passer that would have been probably number 1 overall.
Robbie, are there any of the quarterbacks you've seen? Malik Willis jumps off the page. The former Auburn quarterback transfers to Liberty. Kind of a run-and-shoot guy, but we saw Kenny Pickett in person. He looks like a first-round talent to me.
Oh, God, no. No, I had a friend text me and said, Atlanta's looking to jump to 5 to get a quarterback. I'm like, who the heck is a quarterback they want to take number 5? Now, this is a weak quarterback class. Look, the hand measurements is a product of GMs wanting to justify their reasoning, right? So it doesn't matter how big your hands are, how small they are, if you can throw the ball. But the thing is, though, I don't want to take this guy, so I'm going to justify because his hands are small. It doesn't like that. It's a total manufactured thing. Hey, does anyone know what John Elway's hand size was? Like, or Terry
Nobody
Bradshaw? No.
measures Johnny Unitas's hands in the day, I guarantee you.
Yeah, this is a manufactured thing. You can either throw the ball or you can't. And so all it is people protecting their own. Everyone just wants their job security, just the CYA. This is not a real thing. It's just not. Like, you can throw the ball or you can't.
Yeah,
And
totally.
but to answer your question, no one in this class is worth a first round draft pick, in my opinion.
Up to you, Shane.
Yeah.
Close us out on this.
This is not a year that you're wanting to draft a quarterback for sure.
No.
I mean, out of the top two, Kenny Pickett, he's got the highest floor probably out of anybody on the board, but you look at Malik Willis has probably got the highest ceiling if you're willing to take a gamble. He's got some accuracy issues. That's his biggest problem. Yeah, I mean, guy's got a cannon. We saw his pro day, throws like a 60, 70-yard bomb or whatever to that guy. So, yeah, the talent could be there. It's always a gamble, though. As a first-round pick, though, this year, I wouldn't take anybody quarterback-wise in the first round. I mean, they're far better talent in other positions and several positions than quarterback. Especially, wide receiver, linebacker, offensive line. So it's really hard for me if I'm a team looking for a quarterback. I'd rather, sign Cam Newton for a year as a veteran and, work it out that way and hope for the best next year.
Can
I say something
quarterbacks next
quickly?
Year's class.
Yeah, huge. Quickly, the last three best quarterback classes since 2020 all had three guys drafted in the top 11, led by 2004 with Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, and then Roethlisberger. You go back to 2012, Luck, Griffin, Tannehill, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wasn't in the top 11, but Alex, the point being is that 2017, even though Trubisky went number one, you had Mahomes and Deshaun Watson all in the top 12. Arguably, none of these guys are top 10 picks. They're not worth it. I think somebody's going to take a gamble on Willis. But, yeah, this is a pretty poor quarterback class overall. And it's just because the talent isn't there. Could they find a diamond in the rough? Like I said, like Desmond Ridder, sure. But I agree with everyone else. Not an awesome class.
I'm not sure my favorite quarterbacks aren't in the second round with Carson Strong and Desmond Ridder and those kind of guys.
Agreed.
Let's move on. We're out of time, but I want to we're 2 weeks away from the Masters. One of my favorite sporting events of the year. It is the one golf tournament that I'll watch. I'll probably end up taking a vacation day Thursday and Friday. And thank God I've got the pitcher. I can watch 6 holes at once. Is the Masters the most underrated sporting event in sports? I've been to a practice round, and I'm telling you, it was something special. Robbie, what is your Masters tradition? And also, is there a sleeper out there that you'd like to go ahead and start talking about?
I've never been to the Masters. I want to go. To me, it symbolizes, I guess, when my wife gets emotional. Every Sunday, I think the last 10 years or so, whoever wins, she starts crying about this thing. And so
Me too.
that's where you separate sports from life. As far like she thinks, hey, I mean, like these guys are all rich beyond belief, but to see them and their families and their children, and then them to cry, that like she loves the Master Sunday. So I think it's one of those kind of gets families together events. For me, it's just, I mean, it's not the toughest golf course. I prefer the U.S. Open over the Masters as far as watching them struggle. But there's something magical about Augusta, that it's always the same, and it's just the opening of golf season. It's like I'm on my own. The Daytona 500. It's just the Daytona 500, the Masters. It's the starting of the season for me.
Shane, I know you're a big golfer, and you play a lot of golf. You love golf.
A lot of
Tell
golf.
you
That's
what.
all he does is golf.
Yeah, I'll tell you something.
I'm not even sure he has the
Masters.
job.
It brings not necessarily the favorite out, but elite talent. You can find elite talent. Sometimes older elite talent can get up that 1 week for the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Younger talent, everyone who wins the Masters is talented. But everyone that wins the Masters isn't automatically the favorite walking in. Does that add to the Masters that you can get Tiger out of the blue winning a Masters, or Jack Nicklaus on the verge of 50 winning a Masters? Does that add to it a little?
It does, but you kind of know, from the get-go who plays well on that course. I mean, so these wins really come down to how the course fits your eye and your swing as a golfer. And there's just
the fact that you know that tells me how much golf you play.
Yeah. Well, I do play a lot of golf. But no, this is the Super Bowl of golf, if you will, and it is my favorite tournament by far of the year. And I absolutely love it. I have yet to go to Augusta, but hopefully soon. One day, made a few connections, so that might happen next couple of years. But
I put in for tickets every year.
I've
been drawn once
since I was a kid, but never get picked. But no, and when you have some of the greatest memories and some of the greatest shots at Augusta in golf that you see commercials and replays about, and it's just such a special place. And then, to solidify Tiger's legacy when he came back and won it in 2019 out of nowhere, that was also amazing. But now, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Tiger is at Augusta right now doing practice rounds this week to test it and see if he can play. My bet is he will play in the Masters. There have been talks. All his guys in Florida, his swing speed, ball speed, everything's back to normal. Like, he's playing phenomenal right now, and they can't believe it. 14 months removed from the wreck where he almost had to amputate his leg. If he plays in this Masters, this could be the highest rated viewing that we've seen of the Masters just because of this story. He's got so much fight in him. I know it's unbelievable for the sport what he's done, and to make this again, he's already came back once and then won another major, which we didn't think could happen. And now to come back, if he can come back, even if he doesn't make the cut, that would be great if he makes the cut and he's there on Sunday. But still, that Thursday, Friday, if he plays, man, it's going to be unbelievable.
But it's just
was 2019 the highest rated? Like that Sunday hugging his kid and stuff, was that like the highest rated Masters in ever last 20 years?
Sunday, yeah, I think that Sunday was not by much, but I think it was definitely the highest rated. And that was a special moment. You know, things came full circle from
That transcended sport.
It did, and that's the thing. You know, this people talk about moving the needle. This guy is the needle. Like when he steps on the course, like all eyes are on him. He's what got me into golf and watching golf and playing golf. And
I could care less, but I watch Tiger. And
I
have an unpopular opinion. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
We are not necessarily golfers, but we are sporting guys. I watched the Indy 500. I watched the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Daytona 500. I watched the NBA Finals. I won't watch an NBA game all year, but I'll watch all 7 finals games.
Exactly. And
is this one of those transcendent moments in sports?
It is for sure. For sure. Well, you know, the majors typically are, but this is the Super Bowl of the majors. They say there's 5. They say that the Players' Championship should be the 5th major, but whatever. There's only 4. This and the Open in Europe is always fantastic as well. But this is the major that is everybody, like you said, people that are not fans of golf are watching, and especially if Tiger is on the card.
Hey, if y'all see the house starting to fall in around me and I keep broadcasting, just know that it's windy as can be right now at my house.
I don't want to hear. I'm in the middle of like tornado warnings right now.
I will say this one thing.
Look at this.
Let me say.
It's nuts.
I will say the thing to comment on Brandon and just differentiate a little bit. I don't think it matters if Tiger's in the Masters. Like, that's must see TV for regard. Like, that Sunday the Masters is like I was saying, like, my wife, she comes and she watches that. Like, she loves it. She cries every year, regardless who's there. If Tiger's there, last year, 2020, whenever he was there with his kids, that was magical. Like,
yes,
that was a magic plus. But every single year, it's tears, and it's whoever wins it, that embrace at the end.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with that. I wasn't trying to say, but I'm just saying Tiger just it takes it to another level.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But it is.
I have a contrary opinion. I'm not a fanboy. You guys may not like it. I don't care.
Hate it already.
Do I think there is some magic and mojo to Augusta? Yes. I mean, green jacket, immaculate greens, plantation house, but that's also my issue. I could care less until 97 when Tiger, not only was he a story, but I mean, that's traditionally the most racist club in the history of the world. They didn't allow their first minority member until 1990. There's an estimated 9 or 10 members now. I mean, it's just the elephant in the room. Sure, you guys love it, but until Tiger started playing, it was just a bunch of old white and Euro guys winning it to me. I could care less. I saw a green jacket put on, and Happy Gilmore, there was a gold jacket.
VJ,
I mean, it's very VJ was 2000, but it was after Tiger. They were allowed to like come play because they're golfers, but they weren't allowed to be members. There is a mojo and a magic to it. I do think it's regional, in the sense that it's certainly bigger in the South. Growing up out west, golf is different now after Tiger, but before 97, I could have cared less. 90% of the people outside of the South could care less. Now, when there's stories and Tiger's hugging his kid, the ultimate come up and down story, a humbled superstar. Yeah, that's amazing. And it has that potential to generate that. And that transcended sport. But traditionally, no. I mean, I don't feel that way. I understand how people do, but to say it's universal is a fallacy, in my opinion. And it's racist.
I think.
Hey, I know you guys are fanboys. You're not going to like it.
I'm just going to say, that was in the past, and times have changed and things have evolved. And I think.
I always say they have the best pimento cheese in the country.
Deep South, where they
It was 1990.
I'm not going to call them racist.
Like
but,
1960.
were they
having
politically incorrect? Probably.
having worked with a company that was related to the Masters at one point, not that I knew anybody, there's an old joke about rich and really rich. The Masters are really rich, and sometimes I think that club is not as diverse as we like to think it is in this country. It is still a pretty selective club.
What does diversity have to do with wealth? The wealthiest guys in the world are diverse. They're not Caucasian.
Yeah, they're not living in Augusta, Georgia, working at Club Car. Is my point, though. Any club would be that way.
Which proves my point. So. It's regionalistic and racist.
Robbie, let's move on to bet your cojones before my house blows in. I'm going first because I actually researched before tonight. I'm going to give you 4-1. My house don't get blown down, but I'm also going to give you a bet your nuts that I feel almost Kyle Larson confident about. That confident.
Giddy up.
I am going to the Final Four for my bet your nuts. And I think it's a very inflated number because it is North Carolina and Duke. I am going, the current total as I have it, 151. I will give you under 151 North Carolina and Duke as my bet your nuts. Also, a repeat of last week's bet your nuts. Take St. Peter's in the Sweet 16 plus the points. Cash that all day long. Who wants to go next? Brandon Jane, you look like you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to go to the NBA. Tomorrow night, we got the Bucks coming in to New York playing Brooklyn Nets. Nets are favored 1.5. They're allowing Kyrie to play at home again because the mask mandates have been lifted and all that. And so Acampo is still on the fence. It's a game time decision with his knee injury. I like the Nets here. I think they're starting to roll here late in the season. They're finally all getting to play together and gel. So, yeah, give me the Nets -1.5.
Rod, you got Kyle Larson to win, Rod?
Yes. To win what? I don't know, but yeah, I got Kyle Larson for sure.
All right, man. What's your bet?
Carl Larson? I like Carl Larson. I'm going to go with the NBA as well. The Lakers are done. They are packing it in. LeBron just went back to L.A. Davis is probably not going to come back. They play at Utah tomorrow, which traditionally has just been their nemesis.
11
along the same lines.
Dogs.
It's up to 12 now. When I saw it, it was 11 or 11 and a half. Ironically enough, Salt Lake City is probably the closest thing to Augusta in the NBA. You look up in that crowd, and especially back in the day, just a very difficult place to play. And I don't want to say that's the reason why. Utah's awesome. Conley, Gobert, Mitchell, and they're smarting. The Clippers came back from a 25-point deficit the other night. Paul George's first game back. Everybody knows it's the Lakers. They're the biggest name in basketball. I think they're going to get smoked. The other thing is the Kansas 134 against Villanova. I'm hesitant because Villanova has allowed people to 61 points is the most they've allowed. That was to Ohio State, 44 to Houston last week, 55 to Michigan. But they are without their best defender. So I'm very tempted to take that 134, but I'm going to go with Utah just slaughtering the Lakers tomorrow.
Robbie, I got a house payment due. Give me something good.
Carl Larson. Awesome.
Well, I could give you the favorite in NASCAR, Larson, obviously. But what I'm going to give you is better. Look, there's 3 number ones and there's 1 number 2 seed in the women's Final Four. Said number 2 seed is UConn. They've got their best player back. Best coach, as much as it hates me to say that, yeah, I'll take the 2 seed to win the Final Four of the women's tournament. I'll take
That
UConn.
chick is good too. From
Yes,
UConn.
yeah.
She is.
Can't say
I hated to see her get hurt. She was on fire.
She's
I
back,
hate to
and
see
UConn's
UConn
winning it
beat
all
former
again.
Mocs head coach
This
Wes
is
Moore.
the 14th.
You can't say
straight
chick.
Final Four.
But yeah, for Tennessee guys to admit that, I respect that because Pat Summitt is basketball and women's basketball. Greatest coach ever, changed the game. Ariama's an egotistical jerk, but he can coach. And to get her back, Paige, Weckers, or Bukers, how do you count them out? I agree.
Yeah, they're gonna win. UConn's
She
winning
is
it
a
all.
young lady.
That's a great bet. I will take that. I'll put money on that too, for sure.
All right, guys. Final word.
You're welcome, Shane. I'll take.
I didn't know she was back. back.
You haven't
Final
watched the
word to
tournament? What
make
have you
it
been
fast
doing?
before my house blows in. Brandon James.
Golfing.
Hey,
Final words.
Yes.
I need. Oh wait, final words. Right.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I need as much golfing time as Shane has to just get my mind free, and then I need the double golf time Shane has to actually get something done.
Well, you got to think. There's 24 hours in a day. Golf only takes up about 3.5, 4 hours. So,
Now if you play with me, I'm a 6-hour golfer.
But you play sober? I've never done that.
No, that's crazy talk.
well,
Golf is
if
a
I'm still
25-minute
working, I have to
sport.
go to work and meetings after the round. Yeah, still,
What?
What do
No,
you mean?
yeah, I don't golf.
When do you
so-
golf?
What
What time do you golf?
No,
Some
ask
people
when he
can, some
works.
people can.
That's the trick question. When does he work?
All right, Raj Mehta.
He earned
Last
it, I
word,
guess.
or Brandon James.
I'm
last
sure he did.
words.
Last words. Man, I'm excited about this Final Four. Iconic Duke North Carolina matchup. It's going to be good. Wish Villanova was at full strength. Would have made for a better game there with Kansas, but it's going to be Duke, Kansas, and I think the North Carolina Duke game is going to be pretty good, though. I'm anxious to see that one.
Raj Mehta.
I'm going to baseball, and I like that article, those articles you read on MLB.com. I thought they were deadly accurate. Bullpen starting rotation lineup. If Milwaukee had a better lineup because they have the best rotation and bullpen in the league. But if you look at LA, Atlanta, Toronto, and the White Sox, those
Unreal.
4 teams are pretty much top 5 in lineup, in starting rotation, in manager, in bullpen. So I would take, even though Boston's trying to sneak up with Trevor Story and Kike, if it were LA versus Atlanta and Toronto versus the White Sox in the championship series, that would be the most appropriate thing ever. Those 4 teams, watch out.
I actually like the Blue Jays this year. Robbie Davis.
They're good.
I'm excited that the NFL draft is a month away, and we're still doing this thing, and we're gonna do it again, the NFL draft, and I'm super excited about us all breaking down the draft picks again. Like, we started off this thing as, hey, it's a hobby, but hey, maybe we can make it work, and we're getting more successful. And thanks everyone for watching and subscribing. And so I'm excited about this next NFL draft. Like, look, we're gonna be there watching and commenting and doing what we do about this thing. So yeah, so thank all of you guys for your commitment each week to getting there.
You said the most appropriate words, and I always forget to say, smash that like button.
And subscribe. Yeah.
and subscribe.
That's the biggest thing. I'd rather you subscribe than like it. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once if you can get our name right and the subscribe button in one episode, it'd be epic.
Subscribe to Reckless Speculation. There you go.
there we go.
Sponsored by.
I'll get around to it.
I'll get around to it.
That's
Get
such a
around to
clever
it.
name. You're right,
That's
Raj.
scrappy,
That
yeah.
was-
Great.
It is.
It's better than
Sponsored by
honeydew, which I didn't know what that
I'll get around
was
to it.
until I moved here. But I'll get around
Next
to it.
week, we're going to, we
Brilliant.
had it ready for this week. Next week, we're going to talk about some of those bums that's playing in the USFL.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
Patterson.
shocked by how bad the talent is.
Yeah.
The XFL had much, much better talent than the
Is
USFL did.
this doomed from the start?
No, because tickets are $10.
Hey, why don't we go and watch a game and do a live show?
They would
it's
let us
insane.
broadcast it probably if we wanted to.
I was going to wear my LA
We
Express
don't have to
t-shirt, by the way.
show the field, but we can sit
TV
there.
on, I forgot.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to get off here. I am in bad weather. If you're in the Hickson area, go get in your basement. For Randall
It's
Cunningham,
terrible.
Brandon Chain, Roger Better, Robbie Davis, this is Ridiculous Speculation. Subscribe to their
Reckless.
YouTube channel.
reckless
Let me finish
speculation.
it.
We can be
Subscribe to
ridiculous.
our
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Dark red in the south where we are.
I was
Pray
trying to
for
make a
everyone.
joke out of it.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You always mess it
Jesus.
up.
The weather is
I said
terrible.
subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Good
Look
God.
for us next week, the same time.
All right. Turn
Be
us off.
safe, people in the south.
Hold on. Everyone
That's